was the book you showed us, Elaine?
Oh, no, that was...
Let's start. We're going to Parashat Vayetze, and there's a lot to talk about Parashat Vayetze. Okay, Parashat Vayetze is starting with Shamayim, which is not typical. Yaakov, before he's leaving to Chutz La'aretz, he's dealing with the Shamayim, Ken? He sees a ladder going up to the Shamayim. Interesting. And the first part, the first paragraph, also finishes with Ze Shara Shamayim, Shamayim v'Shamayim, which means it's a very special scenery of something that is up there. That's not a typical thing, not in the Torah, not in the Tanakh, which is talking about what's going up in the Shamayim. Okay, there's a lot of explanations. Are we talking about angels? Of course, it's talking about angels. Are the angels representing other peoples? Are they representing angels which are guarding? But the ones who are going up are the ones of Eretz Israel. The ones who are coming down are from Chutz La'aretz. Okay, I'm not familiar with all the angels. You've got different angels out there in America. So I can imagine we have different angels, you have different angels. Anyhow, he starts with angels, and when he comes back, by the way, at the end of the parasha, this parasha is talking about Chutz La'aretz. The end of the parasha, what's the last thing that he comes back to? He comes to Machanaim, on the verge of crossing the Jordan. Machanaim is the other side of the Jordan, and before he crosses it, he sees two parties of angels. So that's what we talked about also last week. The word Vayelech, I won't go into everything, but of course you'll see many words will appear here 7 or 8 times. Okay, I haven't got a full explanation why some are 7 and some are 8. Usually it's 7, but of course the word Be'er will appear here 7 times. Can you see here Be'er 3 times here, and another twice, and another twice is 7 times. And of course all the meetings around the Be'er, around the well, like Moshe Rabbeinu that meets, and all the good people meet round. They find their shidduch in the well, and it's definitely we're going to talk about that. Especially Rachel is going to be here near the well. I'll soon tell you why. Okay, of course the word Rachel will appear here many times. You can see until the middle, and here I put a line in the middle, and I always try to find the line in the middle, and the line in the middle is Vayomer Yaakov El Lavan, and he tells them, listen, I found my wife, now let me go back home. Ki mal'u yamai va'avo elea. It's about time that I'll come back to Israel. And we know that this is the middle of what happens, and after he's met Rachel, but Lavan is keeping him there. And then the second half is talking about, of course, all the 12 tribes, sorry, not 12 tribes, we're talking about 11, of course, 11. Benjamin was born in Eretz Israel, of course, that's important to know. All the 11 were born here outside in the Galut, and here you've got all the rest. And this is only, like I say, this is 1 quarter, this is the second quarter, and then the next half, I didn't bring the whole second half, which is talking about, at the end, he's saying, at the end, after he had the 11 children, Vayomer Yaakov El Lavan Shalcheni, send me back. Again, he's asking him, pleading him, I want to leave, enough. Va'elcha el mekomi el artzi, I want to go back to my country. And Lavan still keeps him like a bondage, really left him there. And the other half of the parasha is talking about that he really has to find parnose. He has to find all the money. And Chazal have got a lot of accusations against Yaakov that he stayed too long. And we know that. How did he marry? You already said it last time, Elaine, that he said to his mother, or his mother said to him, Yamim achadim, a few days. How much is a few days? 7 years. Not a few days, but 7 years. And he prepared 7 days, and the place which is written here, we'll soon see it in the next page. 7 days passed, 7 years passed, and he got married to Rachel. Of course, Rachel wasn't there, but it's the only places, by the way, the only 2 places which is written the phrase Yamim Achadim, a few days. She tells him that he is in preparing himself to get married to Rachel. We know that things changed over. Lavan really changed everything, and then he married Leah, then Rachel, but afterwards he stayed 6 years too long. Why did he say too long? Because he became rich and he should have come back home. We'll talk about it soon. Okay, so you've got here all the 11 tribes here, by the way. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda. And by the way, this order is important because we'll see it much later in the tribes round the tabernacle. And it goes by this order, nearly by this order. The order that they were born, Ketoldotam. By the way, on the plate of the Kohen HaGadol, he has on the Choshen, the golden plate, it has the 12 tribes. They're also written Ketoldotam. It goes by how they were born. Okay, so we'll soon talk about that. I'm carrying on to the next page. I'm just showing you that one funny word. I show it always in the middle. There are 2 words which are completely different, but they sound similar. One is Vayagel et ha'even. He took the stone off the well. Vayashk et son lavan. And Vayashk is he watered all the sheep, and immediately the next verse is Vayishak Yaakov. Now it's exactly the same letters and it sounds the same, but it means completely different. Vayishak is he kissed. Here, Vayashk, he watered, and here he kissed her because it was his relative, and he found out he found Rachel. So Vayishak, Vayashk, and it's funny. Many times you see words which have got the same sound appear over and over again. I won't show it now, but we'll see it in Yetziat Mitzrayim. We'll see it in a few other places. So you can see that he watered and then Vayashk. Okay, the word Rachel will appear, of course, 10 times, but 7 times at the beginning here. We'll soon see. I'm going back to the next page.
I'm looking for places. Sometimes the word Yamim means years.
Usually it means years. Yamim usually means years. For instance, it's written, usually it's Yamim is years. When it's written Shlosha Yamim, when it counts them, usually it's days. For instance, when David, on the 3rd day, that he, many times it's years, many times it's days. There's no exactly law for that, but days means time. Okay. Here I'm going to the 2nd page, and I'm going to show you something interesting. It's things that I found. I didn't see anybody of the commentators which are saying that. I'll make it a bit bigger so you can see the word that appears over and over again. The word vehine, which means suddenly appears. By the way, here appears in the verse 15, hine without the vav. I'm talking about vehine, which means and suddenly. Okay, in the dream, there are 3 vehine. One vehine is the chalom, that he sees the sulam, the ladder. And here suddenly is a ladder, and we're talking about something which is not living. It's what's it called? Domem. How would you say domem in English?
Inanimate.
Okay, inanimate. You said that. Okay.
Yes.
So that's gdomem. The second hine is already living. Vehine malchei Elohim. They're living and they're going up and down. Olim v'yodim, can see that they are jumping up and down. And the third Hine is really, I would say, Ruchani, very spiritual. Of course, it's talking about Hashem. Hashem you can't see, but he saw a cloud, he saw something special. So you got three things which are anominates, you said, and then
Yes.
there's something living, and then there's something very holy or something spiritual. And here later, when he gets to the well, again appears three hines. Wow. Vehine be'er basadeh. Be'er is anominate. Is that the word that you're saying?
Yeah, inanimate.
Inanimate. Okay, I've learned a new word. Okay, which means domain doesn't live.
Yes.
The second one is living, but it's not exactly living. I'll tell you why it's not exactly living. It's talking about the shepherds. V'hine shlosha edrei tzon rovtzim alea. 3 shepherds. But actually, I'm saying they're living and they're not living because they're not moving. Yaakov will soon say, why are you not moving? Why are you not doing work? You're not working. The angels before are going up and down. These, I would say, the shepherds are not moving themselves, and that's why he's angry with them. Why are you not moving? Why are you not doing anything? And the third thing, of course, it's not comparison to Hashem. Nothing is comparison to Hashem. But suddenly he says a third vihine. What's the third vihine? Vihine Rachel Bito. Wow, he must have seen something special with Rachel. She wasn't only beautiful, she must have had a special, I would say, shechina, some kind of special personality, and that's the 3 vihine that I see. And here I'm going to say something very sad. After I said something very happy, so I'm going to say something very sad. Rachel comes out and she's next to the well. Now, I'll soon show you, so she's very similar to the well. Why does she very similar to the well? Because Yaakov saw from Rachel that he's going to build a family from her. Let's call it, coming from the well comes out water, comes out life, comes out from Rachel. He saw, that's my shidduch. From here is going to come Am Yisrael. But unfortunately, later on top of the well, he takes off the stone, but afterwards he has to put back the stone. It's not written that he put back the stone, but later he does put back a stone on who? On Rachel's tomb, on Rachel when she died. That means she is very similar to the well. She brings life, she brought life, and she's like a well, but he takes off the stone and he managed to find her and build her up, or she built him up. But later, she was the only one that he puts back a matzeva, an even, he puts a stone back on her tomb. Wow, that's very sad. That's amazing that you can see that there's something special about Rachel, that she's like the well, but he also has to put back the stone back. So that's something to think about. I saw this idea that she's like the well, but then I thought, wow, there's something sad about it, that she's the only one that he put a stone on her tomb, and she died on the way. She died early and she died on the way. Okay, something else I want to show you, which is a bit more happier, is all the story of the children. And here I'll make it a tad bit smaller, and you can see there's one passage which is orange, which is chiastic to the bottom part of the orange. I'll soon say what's a chiastic. Blue goes with blue, and in the middle there's green. So let's make it bigger, and we'll see what we're talking about. The first children that he had 4 children, sorry, it's moving. 4 leidot, he had 4 children, and they're from Leah, okay? So Leah, actually, she had 4 children, not 3, she had 4, which is more than her portion. Rashi talks about, he brings Chazal, that if there are 4 women, so each one should have 3, so she was satisfied with the first 3. And then she had 4, she was happy, and she says, Hapam odet Hashem, now be happy, really happy, because I've got more than my portion, okay? So Leah has 1, 2, 3, she has 4 leidot, that's the first thing. So you got Vateled, 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 Vateled. She had another child, another child, another child, and another child, okay? That's the first 4. I'm going at the bottom down, at the bottom, and then there's another 3 in comparison, 3 leidot, and 3 leidot. And by the way, why? If I'm talking about 3 plus 1 is 4, so what do you mean? So there's 12? No, Dinah was one of the last 3, because Leah didn't want to confiscate from Rachel. So again, there's here Vateled, and then Sof, and just Baruch Hashem at the end. Also, Rachel had her first child, and that's the 4 additional children from Leah and Rachel. Of course, Leah also had Dinah. We'll soon talk about it. Okay, we'll soon talk about Leah. Here it's written that the third one, V'achar yalda bat v'tikra shma. That means she had 2 additional more sons. Together with the 4 is 6. The 7th one, she asked not to have a son because she'll confiscate. She knew by prophecy that there'll be only 12. If she'll have 7, that means the concubines will have 2 each. So there's 1 left for Rachel. So she wanted Rachel at least to have 2, not 1. So she had Dinah. Instead of a boy, she had a girl. She asked for a girl. Interesting. That fits very well with what goes on. So you hear there are 4 more additional things. So orange goes with orange. Now have a look in the middle. I say that, of course, all this is happenings that happen exactly by the order. But it's interesting that the Torah puts it by a certain chiastic order, because you have 4 children at the beginning, 4 children at the end. Both come from the mothers, which are Rachel and Leah, or from Leah and Rachel. Then there's 2 stories which are, I would say, a sort of funny stories which are trying to find a way for Rachel to have children. That's in blue here. Du siach kashe ben Rachel v'Yaakov. A terrible, I would say, conflict between Rachel and Leah. After Leah, ben Rachel and Yaakov, because her sister Leah had 4 children. Comes Rachel and grumbles to Yaakov and says, I want children, and if not, I'm going to die. Which means she was really down in the dumps, and she really pleaded, and she says, you, the husband, are not doing enough for me. You prayed for your other wife, please pray for me. Comes Yaakov and says something, Vaychar af Yaakov berachel, and he says something that he's angry with her, and he says, Hatachat Elohim anochi, am I instead of God? He made you without children, I've got children, which is a terrible sentence. And Chazal already talk about that he doesn't talk nicely to his second wife, because actually the same story happens to somebody else who has 2 wives. One wife has children, another doesn't have children. Who I'm talking about?
Elkanah.
Elkanah, of course. Hannah didn't have, she was barren, and of course Pnina had. But he said to Elkanah, said to his wife, his barren wife, I'm enough for you, like 10 kids. I mean, he's trying to be a psychologist for her. Don't worry, so you don't have children, but I love you as much as like 10 kids and so on. Anyhow, that's one part, which is a terrible discussion between Rachel and Leah. But later, in blue, there's another discussion, or there's another way of trying to find a solution. Rachel is trying to find a solution, and she is saying, I'll try to find a substance or some growth that will make me dudaim. I don't know how you call dudaim in English. I don't know. Again?
Mandrakes.
Mandrakes, okay. We're not so sure. Okay, there's all kinds of explanation what it is, but she's trying to find a solution again, how to be with children and not barren. And she, again, she's swapping the night together with Leah. Again, a funny story, which is also some kind of, I would say, there's some kind of a problematic problem here, that she's giving up a night instead of wanting to be with Yaakov, she gave up her night and she gave something instead of that. So it's interesting that here again, in blue, it copies the blue that is at the top. In the middle come 4 children which come from the concubines. And why is it in the middle? It's in the middle because that's what happened. But I said it's not just by chance that it happened like that. The Torah is trying to show that these 4 children that came from other women, and they're less important women, so perhaps you would think that they're less important children because they are called Bnei Hashfachot. They are the sons of the concubines. And by the way, the other sons really ridiculed those boys. How do we know that they ridicule? Because in another 2 weeks, we'll read that Joseph had to protect these 4 sons that come from the concubines from the other kids. How's it written there? V'hu naret bnei Bilha v'bnei Zilpa. Chapter 37, v'hu naret bnei Zilpa. He's trying to protect them. They are born from Yaakov, but they are the sons of the concubines, and they're less important. But here already the Torah is trying to show it's in the middle. They're put in the middle between all the rest of the sons to show they're important, not less than the rest of the 8 sons, the 8 children. There are 4 children at the top, there are 4 children at the bottom, and in the middle there's other 4 children which come from concubines. No, they're also part of Am Yisrael. Okay, so we're talking about Bilha, that had 2 children. Zilpa had 2 children. Bilha and Zilpa are considered mothers, but they're not important mothers. They're only concubines. Even so, their sons are part and parcel of the 12 tribes. Wow. So I'm saying it's not just put in the middle. It probably happened in the middle. It's happened before the 4 and then the 2 blues, but also the Torah sets them in the middle to show they're not less important. So I wrote here, they are in the middle between all the rest. So that's important to know that it's not just by chance. Everything has got a routine. Everything is set exactly to show you that things are not just by chance. It happened like that, but the Torah is showing you how important it is. Also, those sons are part of Am Yisrael. Wow. And later, there's a lot of problems. Am Yisrael try to push them away. By the way, those 4 sons are always in the Sfar. How do you say Sfar, Avi? Sfar is the outside cities, the outside...
on the borders.
On the borders. They're always on the borders. Have a look that these 4 sons weren't given in the middle of the country places to live. They were on the borders. Also Dan, also we're talking about the carry on Naphtali, and we're talking about also who got Gad. Gad is also in the other place, in the other side of the Jordan, and Asher definitely is up in the north there. They got beautiful lands. I lived in Asher, I lived in Ma'alot. I know in the north of Iran, there's beautiful greenery, but they're pushed aside on the borders. The main parts of Eretz Yisrael, which are close to Yerushalayim, are more in the middle, are settled by the sons which are from Bnei Rachel and Leah. Interesting. So that's also another thing. One more thing that I want to show you is one son here, which is called, I don't know if I wrote it here. Okay, something interesting that I found here, and here I'm going to show you. Where's Shem Hashem written here, and where's Shem Elokim written here? Interesting. There's Shem Hashem and Shem Elokim. Okay, so have a look here in orange. Vayar Hashem Kisnua. When it's written Yud Kei Vav Kei, Shem Hashem, of course, it means that Hashem is more lenient. Hashem is not hard, and Hashem is not just doing by nature. Hashem is doing a miracle. So at the beginning, also Leah was barren. At the beginning, she was also barren. But Hashem opened her womb. Kisnuar Leah. Hashem saw that she was hated, or she wasn't as loved. Doesn't mean she was hated, but she wasn't as loved as Rachel. So you open the womb, and Shem Hashem appears in here, and it appears for all the you can see Shem Hashem here. I'll soon show you that all the 4 sons appear here. Shem Hashem appear the 4 first children that were born. But later you'll see always is written Shem Elokim. Always Shem Elokim will be written later. Okay, so I'm going to show you the next page and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go to the next page. Okay, we'll soon see it. I want to go to first at the top of the page. Something very interesting that I found. Again, I didn't see anybody. I saw one of the later one of the commentators say that. Rosho Magia Hashamayma. Where do we have such a place? One more place in the whole Tanakh which is written something Magia Hashamayma. His head gets to the Shamayim.
Bavel.
Bavel. Very good. By the way, do you know what is another name for the word Bavel? It's actually Arabic
Shinar.
name. What does it mean?
Shinar?
No, it's called Shinar, you're perfectly right, but the word Bavel itself is made from 2 words.
Oh, Bob El.
Very good.
Shar Shel Elohim.
Oh, you know too much. It's called Shar Elokim. Bavel is actually 2 words. The entrance, Bab, is always the entrance to El. Have a look here. Rosho Magia Shamayma. They wanted to build the big what's it called? The Migdal, the big tower coming up to the Shamayim, and they wanted to be the Shar for El, to get to the gods. But of course, they didn't get to the gods. But here it's written that Yaakov says, "This stone that I'm putting here, this is the stone of Shar HaShamayim, not Bavel, but this is the Shar HaShamayim." So I wrote all this here and read that Babel is in comparison to Bavel, which they thought is the entrance to the gods. No, here in Yerushalayim or in Beit El, this is the place where it's in comparison to what the Goyim think. This is the place of the entrance to the Shamayim. So that's interesting, or that you can only find in these 2 places. Only in here, Shar HaShamayim, this is the only place that it comes to the Shamayim. So these are the only place. So not Bavel, Babylon is not the opening to the Shamayim. The second thing that I wanted to show you is interesting. How are these, I talked about before, that these shepherds are never called shepherds. Wow, you'll never find them called Ro'im. How they're called? Adarim, Adarim, Adarim. Interesting. Why are they called Adarim? Because they're not doing their job properly. Aro'eh means a shepherd. And a shepherd is somebody who really takes very seriously his job and tries to find everything good for his sheep. And he waters the sheep. And he's not only sitting down and blowing a flute, but he's really working hard. And by the way, that's exactly what Yaakov is asking her. Why are you not doing anything? What are you doing the whole day? Oh, we're waiting for everybody to come together to lift up the stone. By the way, who lifted the stone by himself? Yaakov. I don't know how strong he was, but he managed with his ability to do something by himself that they didn't do by themselves. Who's the only one who's called a shepherd?
Rachel.
Here, in blue, dark blue. You're perfectly right. Rachel is called the Ro'ah. She's the only shepherd. Later in all, it's written in many, many other prophecies. We're talking about in Yeshayahu and Yirmiyahu, that they talk about the shepherds. And they're talking about the kings of Israel, which weren't proper shepherds. Yechezkel is angry with them, with the kings, and says, you're not doing properly your job. You're not really a shepherd, which means a shepherd is somebody who's taking a responsibility and looking after each of your people. So you're not doing your shepherd. You're not proper kings. Rachel is the only shepherd. By the way, what does it mean, Rachel? It's
Oh,
means
Sheep.
a
Young sheep.
she's a sheep.
Nikeva,
What?
right?
It's a sheep.
In
It's a
English,
sheep.
you call it a ewe lamb. E-W-E, ewe.
You,
But
okay.
it's a female sheep.
A female sheep. So she's a sheep herself. So she's inside built in herself that she's part of the community or part of the sheep, and she's a ro'ah. She's the only one called ro'ah. Adarim, adarim, adarim. They are gathering all the flock, but actually they're not called in their name because they're not doing their job properly. And Yaakov is angry with them. Why are you not doing anything? It's already 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You haven't started to water. So she does everything, and she's called the ro'ah. Here's the word Yamim Achadim. We talked about it before, that's the only two places, the chapter before, that Rachel Rivka sends her son Yaakov to Vayita Shama Yamim Achadim, run away from your brother and stay there a few days, which means 7 years. And he really here says, Vayavod Yaakov berachel, he really worked hard for Rachel 7 days, but even so, the days passed quickly. Vayu be'enav ki yamim achadim. It was like a few days, and here he should have come back home. Because if he would come back home here, who would he found alive? His mother. But he stayed and stayed and stayed, and his mother died meantime. Wow, that's very sad. And it's written that when he came back after 22 years, his mother was already dead. And even the Meineket.
Does the Torah tell us how old?
No, but it's written there that he found the Meineket. We don't know anything, but we know that she wasn't alive. The Meineket, and that means even she died, the one who grew him up, she died, so also anything. Again, it's also Midrashim, it's not written properly. Right. But if he would come back earlier and finish the job, but he didn't finish the job quickly. I'm going back again to one of the children, which is only written about this child. Always, all the children, who called the names of the children?
The wives did.
Always the wives. Here I'm giving you an example here. For instance, Vatar Leva, here at 32, Vatar Leah, Vatelet Ben, Vatikra Shmo Reuven. Okay, so she called him. Let's look at the next verse. Vatomer ki shama Hashem. She called him Shimon. And only one child is called by a male. Now, we don't know who's the male, but it's by the father or by Hashem. Vatar Od, the third son, and she bore another child. Vatar Od Vateled, let me move it a tiny bit. Vatar Od Vateled Ben, Ben, Vatomer Ata apam Yelavei Ishi Elai, Al Ken Kara Shmo Levi, not Kara. All the rest are called by the mother. Comes Rashi and gives two explanations. Perhaps it's Yaakov, perhaps it's even Hashem. And of course, we're talking about the holiest boy. Who's the holiest boy? Levi. Levi, of course, from the Leviim. Already here, Levi didn't prove himself yet, but already at the beginning when he was born, somebody else called him. Somebody holy called him. Perhaps it's Yaakov. Perhaps it's an angel that called him. Hashem called him. But here it's only written the only place. All the rest are called by women. I'll just give you another example.
You know, if you look in Stuttgartensia, all of the ancient versions of Breshit correct it.
Now, correct it and said Kara.
Correct it and make it Nikeva. Yeah, but
there must have been a mistake here. Interesting. Yeah.
But or not, or in a sense, you would say the nusach, that's the most difficult one, is the correct one, and the other ones are the fake ones because, of course, they're going to correct it.
Of course they can correct, because if one's mistaken, so there must have been a mistake. Oh, you're perfectly right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay.
I want to go again to the thing of Elokim and Hashem. I want to show you something. Yes, this is the page. So let me show you just a tiny bit smaller, and then we'll make it big again. Oops, sorry, one second before it goes out. Okay, I forgot to put the chashmal in. Okay, here I'm going to show you something interesting. This is the fourth page. Victor, if you're listening, so this is the page, the last page. Here I wrote 4 pages and not 3 or 2 pages. It's page number 40. Okay, so here is something interesting that I found. Again, I haven't found any commentator, but I went through Shemot, the names of Hashem that did miracles, what I tried to say before. And have a look that right at the beginning, all the children were born, the first children of Leah were born with Shem Hashem. Hashem, 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 Hashem. And have a look later in purple, Elokim, Elokim, all the rest of the children were born in Shem Elokim, Elokim, except the last one, which is Rachel. She had the only child here. She'll have later another child, Binyamin, but here she has one child, and she's Hashem. Of course, it means something special with Shem Hashem and not Shem Elokim. So here I give an explanation, and I'll say it very shortly. Shem Hashem means something not natural. It means something like more miraculous. And I'm trying to always show that the first explanation or the first example is chapter 1 and chapter 2 in Bereshit, in Genesis. Chapter 1 is the creation of the world. And the creation of the world, the first chapter is always Elokim, Elokim, Elokim. And actually everything there goes by order and goes by nature. And that's why the 6 days that the creation was, 6 years, 6 billion words, whatever you want to explain, it all goes by a certain order. And we talked about it then, if you remember, that there is some kind of order there. I told you, Natan Aviezer, the professor, wrote a book, and it showed that really things went by order, and things really were like that in the 14 billion years that the world is created. But the second chapter suddenly appears Shem Hashem. And there Hashem talks to Adam, and he tells him commands, and he tells him, listen, you're going to be in Gan Eden, and he puts him in Gan Eden. That means things are not natural. Things are going, let's say, between like 2 friends. It's not friends. Hashem is not our friend, but Hashem is behaving like somebody very close to man. He's not far away from man. He's not in nature up there and far away from man, but here he's talking to man, and he's part of the hashgacha. How would you say hashgacha in English?
Usually it's divine providence.
Okay, divine providence, which means Hashem is really acting inside nature. Hashem is acting. He's not hiding in nature. Okay, he's not hiding in nature. And the first 4 children that were born are written in Shem Hashem. First of all, they were a miracle because Leah also was barren, and she definitely wanted to she wanted to have children. But have a look interestingly. She's not using a proper explanation why she wanted children. Why does a mother want children? Because every woman in the world, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter from where you are, mothers want children because they want to be part of having children. That's a normal thing. So the normal thing is nature. A mother wants to have children because she wants to have children. Of course, also, as a father, I'm telling you that it's one of the greatest miracles there is. When I became a father, I was thinking that I didn't have the child. My wife had the child. But the greatest thing is that a mother wants a child because she wants a child. But Leah, didn't have a child. She didn't ask a child because she wanted a child. What's always her reason? That it's Yaakov will love her. Wow, that's not natural. That is really not natural. Have a look. The first child, she says, I'm he'll love me. Vayar Hashem ki snua le'ah. He opened her womb. Vatar le'ah vatelet ben v'tikra shmo Reuven. Why does she call him Reuven? Ki amra, she said, Hashem will see that now he'll love me. Is that natural? To have a child because my husband is not loving me? You should have a child because you want a child, full stop. If your husband loves you, if your husband doesn't love you, what's the thing? So you can see, Shem Hashem. Hello, Victor. Okay, if you're
Okay,
with us.
guys, okay.
Okay, I'm just saying that here it's not natural at all that she's asking for a child, not in, I would say, in natural reasons. Have a look at the second child. The second child, Vatomer ki shama Hashem ki snua anochi. Again, I'm not loved, I'm hated. Is that the reason that you want a child? You want a child because you want your husband to love you? It's a secondary purpose. It's not the first purpose. Even so, she's asking something not pure, not natural. The third one is, she's asking, now he'll carry and be with me because I've got 3 children. The fourth one, she said, again, he's happy. All the rest of the children are always Elokim, 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 because it goes by the first chapter. The first chapter is nature. All the rest of the women they didn't care if Yaakov will love them or not love them. Why do they want children? Of course, Zilpah, Bilhah, all the rest of the children, and even Leah, at the continuation of the children, she already knew that he'll love her. So now she says, Elokim, Elokim, Elokim. Only the last child here, when really she's pleading Rachel, and she wants a child, she's asking Hashem, please be with me, lenient, please ask, and then she's praying to Hashem. Vatikra shmo Yosef lemor Yosef Hashem li. She's pleading actually for something not natural. She doesn't want a child, she wants another child. She got another child, but by the way, when she got the other child, she gave her life for that child, which is really not natural. Rachel is really above nature. She's ready to give herself instead of Rachel, of Binyamin. It's either the child or either her. She was ready to give her life. But here you can see something interesting that I haven't seen anything else. I wrote here at the side, 2 midot Hashem beleidot. Hashem is appearing in 2 different manners. The manner which is not natural and the manner that which is always natural. Did you ever see that, Elaine? Yeah, the man should see that.
It's an interesting thought, but you know, like if you read books on women and all this kind of stuff, I'm serious. They'll say that in other words, having sons was a tool to status in society.
You're talking about kings. With kings, definitely like that, because kings, you're talking about the heir, and the heir is more important. So they think. But if you're talking about normal women. A woman is always, of course, dependent on her husband, or she wants her husband to love her. But she, first of all, wants a child because she wants a child. That's a normal thing of nature.
Right.
And here you can see she's not natural. Interesting.
No, it's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an interesting thought. Yeah.
So here I'm just showing you at the top of this page, Evan, and the Matseva. Wow. Yeah. If you remember, I said.
Yeah. I was just going to say, when you continue the story of Yaakov, so you see there's always a link between Yaakov and Evan, Matseva.
A lot of Matsevot, but especially the last Matseva that he puts on the tomb of a thing, and you can see that Rachel is to do with the Evan. He takes off the Evan, but he puts it back on that. As I say, it's fantastic here. Okay, that's what I've got to say. I've got a lot to say, but we'll the word makom, of course, Chazal say makom is the place. It's not just makom, ha-makom, ba-makom. So what do they say? What's ha-makom? Yerushalayim. Even that it doesn't have to be Yerushalayim, but it's always ha-makom, if it's written with a hey, which means the place must be Yerushalayim. So always Chazal see ba-makom. Why is it so the place? It's a place. Why is it the place? That's why Chazal Chazal say it must be a special place, must be Yerushalayim. The dream was in a special
the
place.
pshat, what's the pshat? It's Bethel.
The pshat is in Bet El, is on the way to Haran.
Yeah.
On the way to Haran. Avi, anything to say?
Thank you very much. It was fantastic as usual.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Victor, as he joined us.
Thank you. מה?
ויקטור, אני רוצה שתגיד משהו, נו.
מה יש להגיד? אתה אומר הכל.
Elaine, go to your Talmudic lesson.
Class starts.
להתראות, טוב טוב. זין גזון. להתראות, חבר'ה, ביי.
ביי, יום טוב.
יום טוב to you too, ביי.
ביי.